FC Transfer Room here on a Wednesday, and whilst we've got a lot of rumours to get through, we also have some news regarding left backs. Now, everyone was talking a lot about signing a left centre back in the season, someone that could cover Robbo should he get a knock, or should we play three at the back? And now we find ourselves in a Costas world for the next 10 weeks. William, we were talking a lot on chat. I think you came up with a few other suggestions to Costas playing left back, but we'll start with the most important question of all. The picture of Robbo, he had a Greg's bag with him. What was in the Greg's bag?
I reckon he went healthy, and he went for the vegan sausage roll probably just to keep it on the diet and stuff and everything, to make sure that it's more or less in balance with what he's allowed. Seeming nowadays that all the footballers, have specific diets and have doctors pretty much, putting their whole diets in front of them. So yeah, I'd say probably go for the vegan sausage roll, but stick from off the squad if their meat is in between there.
I think he might have gone for I feel sorry for myself steak bake. But who knows? Well, Robbo knows. Maybe a yum something like that. Cookie. Race thinking, what the hell's Greg's?
I have no idea. It's way on over my head.
It's best way I can describe it, Race, is imagine you want to get something that's cooked in puff pastry. That's what Greg's does. It's like McDonald's for puff pastry.
Interesting.
And the sausage rolls are sensational.
Oh, perfect.
True. The vegan ones, not so much, but that's just a fun. 10 weeks, Race. How are you feeling? Robbo out for 10 weeks. We've got a good run of games, but he was on good momentum as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's definitely a blow. I mean, these international injuries just really suck because, you think, it's just it's horrible that it happens, when it's, not with your club and whatnot. But, yeah, it's really unfortunate. I will say, at least it's something that, in theory, a shoulder injury, it's not like it's an injury that might linger later in the year. I just think of obviously in football, it's more of your legs and, that you're using, it's just something upper body. And so, you hope that he can kind of get over it. And, we get this timeline of 10 weeks and hopefully it doesn't extend into 12, 14, a little further than that, just because it's a lower body. And upper body, I feel like it's more straightforward, especially in this sport. So, hopefully it's something that he can come back from sooner than later. But yeah, it's gonna be the simulcast show unless we kind of change formation or something like that. I don't know if we will, but this is why we're already you have a squad and you have backups and you rely upon them. So we'll see what happens here.
Now, William, you were talking. We were chatting on chat. There we go. We were chatting on WhatsApp earlier, weren't we, about potentially different options and stuff like that. But Liverpool have got a good run of games coming up, so we should be more on the attack than the defence. But I think it'll probably be Costas. But let's say, for example, that's a lot of games for Costas to play in a short period of time. So I don't think he can play all the games. So what other options, do you want to tell people about what other options we're thinking? And obviously, if you've got other options in chat that you think could be playing left back for us, please put them in chat and stuff like that. But what were you thinking?
Well, if we're sticking to the same formation and same system, then I mean, I would realistically think the only other option is Joe Gomez. Just because from what I've seen from Endo, I don't think Endo's actually ever played left back. I think he's played centre back, mid CDM, and maybe even right back, but I'm not too sure on that one. And I'm also not too sure how that would go because, it worked the one time with Milner where we put him at left back for a while as a stopgap, but obviously you can't tell with Endo if that's going to be the same. Gomez, at least in his younger years, came up as a left back. So it's also knowing that he can play that position. For the rest, honestly, there aren't much other options left. I'm not the biggest fan of Simicast, but I'm also realizing as well that he does have a lot. He does have attacking qualities that I do quite like, and I think for the games against the smaller teams, that will be probably fine to put him in. But because I don't know the full fixture list right now from up to which games Robbo could all potentially miss. I'd say it's the one who do have a quite more dangerous attack. I would be a lot more tempted to put Gomez at left back just to shut up shot, and then maybe just let Trent go down from the right hand side and massively, just create a lot more there.
Well, let me give you the fixtures until the end of November to start with, because that's 6 weeks. As opposed to the end of the year, we'll do 6 weeks. So, Race, you've got a choice between Costas and Joe Gomez. So you either go defensive or offensive. And I'm going to give you the games and just tell me which one you'd play in.
Okay.
Everton.
Tsimikas. Yeah, Costas.
William Toulouse.
Still Costas probably. I'm assuming that at start he's going to get a couple of running games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got Forest. Race. Costas again, 3 in a row.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's because they're all at home. They're all home games. So, you think about travel and stuff like that. And it's a Thursday to Sunday. So kind of factoring that in and just kind of looking ahead to our next game. So I got the fixture list right here. So I guess Tsimikas, maybe give him the run there.
Now the next game, William, is Bournemouth. Now I'm going to it's the
EFL
Cup.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw Scanlon at you as an option.
Yep.
Youth team coming through, good player, potentially an opportunity to give Costas a break and give him a game, or do you go Gomez?
I personally go Gomez, but more because I'm someone who would try to do their best to make sure that we go through to the next leg every time. So I'm someone who's which is why I wouldn't be a good manager. I don't like taking risks that much if that makes any sense. But I see Clefner giving Scotland a game in that one because it also really depends on other injuries coming in as well. Because if we get another centre-back injury or a right-back injury, then Gomez is obviously going to be employed there. So I think that would be a realistic option as well for Scanlon to probably get a game there, yeah.
Now, the next... This is where it gets interesting for me because I'm going to tell you the next 4 in a row, which is Luton to lose, both away, Brentford at home, and then Man City away. Now, if you're going Scanlon, Costas, Scanlon, Costas, Scanlon, Costas, Joe Gomez hasn't played any football before Man City, can you really bring in Joe Gomez to play against Man City? Race. It's a good, if you want to shut it down and you're like, we don't want him against Jeremy Doku.
Right. Yeah. And again, and again, we'll note it if any injuries pop up or something like that. Maybe that's an opportunity where we need Gomez as a center back or anything like that. And so I wouldn't, put it past him that he would kind of be completely minuteless or not get any time on the field. But I mean, I will say, obviously that City game, it's after the international break. So just kind of looking ahead, I'll maybe pencil in Costas for that game just simply because, we'll be coming back from that. I mean, it's exercise. It's a little hard to predict kind of what, what we can pencil in, prediction by prediction. I guess we can just kind of go just for the first few games. And like I said, the first 3 games we got coming up out of this break are all at home with a Europa League game in there, 2 league games. So, I wouldn't mind seeing Costas just kind of get those games there. Maybe Gomez for one of them. I don't know, but with these games coming up and another international break in the future, we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the rest of the fixture, then we go into 30th of November. Lask, Fulham, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, Union St. Galles. It's only around about the 16th of December. William, where we've got United, followed by Arsenal on Christmas Eve, followed by Burnley on Boxing Day, followed by Newcastle on the 30th. That is the that's the make or break of the season period, and there's no January replacement for any of these in. That's if you were Klopp and you were working towards this, you'd be like, right, well, it's all right. We probably want a Robbo for City, but we need to do everything we can to get him back for that little Christmas period because that's probably where he's going to be essential, isn't it? And he can keep his leg fitness up and health fitness up because it's his shoulder. Yes, he can't necessarily run the same with one hand, but That's the critical part, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is at the end of the day. I mean, it's also the run of games are very different from now till the next international break, from then after the international break up till Christmas. And obviously with the City game as well being another 12:30 kickoff after an international break. I think there could maybe be the point where if Kostas and Scanlon have been given the run of games that due to it being City afterwards and maybe looking more for the other games in the long run, that maybe there we see the switch where Klopp maybe does put Gomez at left back also to try and shut up shop against Doku. I think it also just really depends on how Tsimikas takes his chance. If he excels and if he does really well, then I don't see Klopp changing him. But at the same time, I would say that most likely if there's going to be a change out of Kostas and rotation, it will be after the international break against Man City probably.
Yeah. Now, if you are new here, please like and subscribe to this channel. It's a Liverpool fan channel. We go live every day at 7:30. If you do want to tell us what your Greg's order is, just so that we can more speculate about what Robbo had in his little bag from Greg's when he had his arm in the sling. One, it will amuse me, and two, it will confuse Race because he doesn't have Greg's in America. And eventually, there will be an invasion of Greg's, I think, around the world, but we'll get to that at a further time. Now, we're going to move on to some transfer news, and I'm going to go with the most outrageous story first, Race, which is Liverpool are seriously considering making a move for Osimhen and try and persuade him not to sign a contract extension with Napoli. Now, there's been a few things with Osimhen recently with regards to Napoli. They've done some really distasteful social media posts with regards to him. So there's a chance, he's not at necessarily the best place with his club at this moment in time. But and the sources, Radio Kiss LFC, it's a good high quality source. They tend to be quite good with stuff. They're not a full moon source for us on LFC Transfer Room, but there's just something that makes no sense to this for me. What about for you?
Yeah, it's you think about a striker. I mean, we've got Nunez and we've got him, playing better this season, playing more as a natural 9, with his hold up play this year being better and him just kind of getting more involved and stuff and not looking out of place. I think we want him long term to be a striker. I know he played a little bit last year, kind of on the left wing and whatnot, but I think naturally, we want him as the main man up top. And Osimhen is the same position as well. He's not, going out wide. He's playing through the middle centrally. And so to bring in another big price tag striker in the same position Nunez doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't really make any sense at all. And like you said, with his status with Napoli and all the things you mentioned, like you wonder what his future is with Napoli, and that's kind of a separate conversation. Like, I don't think Liverpool's a realistic destination for him. He's definitely a top class striker and will no doubt command a heavy transfer fee if he moves on from there, if someone bids for him. But I don't think that'll be us.
I mean, it makes you think, William. I wonder what his best friend's dad's dog walker is paid by Bayern Munich, because that's probably, that's the type of club you'd need to compete against to get a player like Osimhen. And I think you're probably looking between Man City, PSG, Real Madrid, depending on the Haaland moves and the Mbappe moves. And he's probably that third jigsaw piece that rotates. Do you see anything in this?
No, not whatsoever. I would believe it more if we went for Mbappe next summer than us going for Osimhen. I just don't see how Osimhen fits in the team. So I don't really know how we would go about signing it unless we already know that Salah's going to leave for the next summer, and that maybe Klopp's going to try and massively overhaul the system again and maybe play a 4-2-2 where he's got Nunez as a left striker, Osimhen as a right striker, and then Szoboszlai as a cam, and then McAllister or Diaz even as a cam. But that would be thinking way ahead and thinking into trying to figure out whose mind that is. But that would be also the only reason how I could see it make any sense. By the way, I don't think we're going to go for Mbappe either, or that he's going to come to us. I hardly believe that rumor either. But I would see more logic in it due to Mbappe's versatility up front as well. Like Osimhen at the end of the day, he's a striker and that's it. And we have technically already 3 of those. We've got Nunez, Gakpo, Jota. If you want, you can put more up front. Not that we tend to do it a lot. Yeah, it doesn't make sense unless we sell one of the attackers, as Paul in the chat is saying. That would be the only way that it would maybe make sense. But then again, it still wouldn't, because then what? Are you going to play Nunez on the left, or are you going to sell him? Yeah. So no, I don't see this one happening.
Race, I think what William's missing there is Osimhen has played on the right wing before. Of his 194 appearances as a professional, he's played 4 on the right wing. So obviously he's a Salah replacement. it strikes of let's link players to Liverpool because we know it'll get clicks and media attention, to me.
Yeah, that's how it always is.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Great player, by the way, but I think he'll do great things. And if we didn't have Nunez, I'd be really interested. But I don't know if anyone's watched the A Day with Cody Gakpo on the LFC transfer on the Liverpool TV on the website. You can see Gakpo is the foil to Nunez. They're the tactical switch, and he loved, like he was saying, he was going home back in Holland and he missed Liverpool and wanted to come back to Liverpool. You could see Jurgen Klopp saying he's the most mature 24-year-old he's ever met in his life. So when you've got statements like that and you've got the entire club around Cody Gakpo, you're going, well, our 2 central strikers really is a false 9 in Cody Gakpo and an out-and-out 9 in Nunez. Why would you add another out-and-out 9 to it? To me, it makes no sense. But media need clicks. Media need to get things through, and Liverpool is always a great tag to get some attention. So we'll park the Osimhen rumor there, because as much as it's a decent source, I don't believe it, and I don't think either of you two do either.
No chance.
But we are going to move on. James, 1 minute. We need to answer this. I'm not going to answer it, but William, you're going to answer it. James, would you sell Nunez and Jota and replace them both with Osimhen? Would that make the team better?
No, I wouldn't do it. But it's more because I believe that Nunez's potential is going to be just as good as Osimhen, or even better. Like I already said it last year when he was having the bad time. Out of the potential and ceiling wise, I think Nunez is one of the highest talents you can get. So and Jota's also, I don't really even need to explain it. I wouldn't change either of them for Osimhen, to be fair. Well, if it's a straight Jota for Osimhen swap, then I definitely think about it. But no, just no.
Race?
No, I mean, it doesn't make sense to. I mean, you already have our system. Why would you kind of sell off players and kind of reset? Bring in new players to insert again. Like, we already have Jota and Gakpo and Nunez like in our system. Like, why would we just? Yeah, you can get maybe a quote unquote better player, more polished, but like it doesn't make sense to really reset that team building that you already have in place.
I do like the Chelsea thing. I think they'll probably sell a few players and then try and get him in and pay him. That, to me, I can see a lot of logic in the Chelsea. I mean, they're not Chelsea anymore, are they?
Hopefully they give him the number 9.
But I see a lot of, I see that more likely than, shall we say, Liverpool. And yeah, I just, it doesn't make any sense. And for me, Jota is the new Fairclough. So he comes off the bench and he scores a goal. He always scores a goal. So why would you have a player who's happy to come off the bench and score a goal for 2 strikers who really want to be starting in Nunez and and Gakpo? It just seems like you debalance the squad for no reason, because you can only have so many of them on a pitch at any one point in time. But I am going to move on to a player that we've been linked with, and it's quite a high ranking source, and this is Jota is the new Origi. You mean? No, Fairclough's before Origi, my man. The original super sub is the original super sub. But we're going to move on to Leroy Sane, and it's a really good link. The Leroy Sane one, it's Sport One. It's a full moon link for see transfer room. It's Sport One, yeah. We've identified Sane as a target to replace Salah should he leave at the end of the season. He's being looked at as a potential successor. Obviously, he played for City. He was very raw at that moment in time. Now, William, he's not an out-and-out striker like Salah. He's more of a creator. What do you think? 80 million, 27-year-old, maybe 28 by the time season comes round. You see anything in that?
I mean, it definitely it could be.
Yeah, 28 in January.
The one thing I have is his age being 27 to being 28 next summer, or him already being 28, one or two. And his price tag, and that in combination with our owners just doesn't seem like a deal that we normally tend to do. Because I think value for money wise, and also potential resale wise, and all the factors FSG normally put into transfers wouldn't fall under this particular transfer, even though it is obviously, if we get him, it would be with the intention of substituting Salah. But I don't necessarily think that we will go in and buy a high-valued right winger to replace Salah. I feel like we would probably just go down the route again of seeing where the bargain between 35 to now with inflation 50 to 55 million will be, and that will probably be. But yeah, that will probably be the road that we will go down to. I do think he would be a good addition under Klopp at least. Because I do have it sometimes when I look at the buying games now when he's playing, I do look at him playing. He does sometimes make the wrong decisions, and he doesn't always seem like he's on his sharpest, and he has obviously some injury issues as well sometimes. But there is a good player in there, and at the end of the day, if there's a manager who can get the most out of a player, it's Klopp. So if Klopp would want him, then I wouldn't have an issue with it. But I just don't see us doing it actually at the end of the day.
Now, Race, people saying he's injury prone and stuff like that, and he had a lot of injuries at City, but he's only missed 14 games since signing for Bayern Munich. So from the 2021 season to 23-24 season, grand total of 14 games. So that's 60 games a year. That's next to no games. It's like sometimes you just tag people with an injury prone title because they've had injuries at their younger part of their career. Steven Gerrard had loads of injuries when he was in his early 20s until he sorted out his entire posture and hamstrings and everything that went with it. What do you think a player like that would mean in terms of Liverpool's style of play change?
I really liked the Sane as a player. I always liked him at City. I thought he was dangerous. I think he tore us up a couple times, or I remember he had one good goal against us. He's always been a really good player. I just think sometimes in City maybe just got lost in the shuffle, and that's kind of why they sold him off. City just have all these tremendous wingers, and then goes over to Bayern, and it's kind of the same situation over there. They just got loads of talent, and I think if he would kind of come into our side with the departure of Salah, he would definitely be more of a featured player. And I think with his age, like I think he'd perform well with us given his age and given his his history and just track record in the Premier League already. I think it'd be it would be an interesting move to make. But again, like you said, what holds me back is kind of the price tag and the age. I think if we look for any potential Salah replacement, I think we might want to go a little younger, get a little more bang for our buck, because that's an 80 million price tag would be a lot for already a guy going. He said turns 28 this January, so would already be getting close to 30. And the dreaded age of 30, which I know can turn some people off. But it's I've always really liked him. I was kind of disappointed when he first came to the Premier League in City. I can't remember if we were linked with him or not, but I always thought that was a really nice business by City. I don't think he was that expensive, I don't think. And then he just became a really good player. And then I don't know if he had a long, like an ACL or some sort of long-term injury that maybe wrote him off or anything. But it's we're getting linked with a bunch of wingers and attackers just because with Salah's future, up in the air. We don't know what his status will be at the end of this season and whether we look to move on with him. I hope we don't. I hope we keep Salah for as long as we can because he doesn't show any signs of slowing down, and he's adapting his game this year. He's a little more creative, getting more players involved. And I think Sane certainly is capable of that. I mean, just looking back, he had multiple seasons with more than 10 assists in the Premier League. So I think that's I think he'd be a really good player to fit into us. I just question if it's the type of move that Klopp would want to make or we'd want to make.
Now, follow me here because we've got American owners, and this will make sense to race, William. Depending on how much American sport you watch, you may get this, but FSG probably are in the mindset of they need a franchise player in their attack, and whilst Nunez has the potential, none of them are franchise players at the moment. They're all very effective, they're all very efficient, but I think FSG know if they want to sell shirts, they want to make money, they want to do well, they need a franchise player in that forward line. Now, I'm not sure Leroy Sane is a franchise player, if you wish, but I'm also not sure that we would go for someone young. If we got 150 million, say, for Salah, I think we may go for someone that's 28 and be a sort of franchise name. People in the comments, I mean, we'll get onto Pedro Neto because there's some news about that. We've got Kvaratskhelia, who I think he's had one good season. Chiesa's come back from major knee surgery. I think he's come back quite well. I've not really seen much of him this season, but I know obviously he was away most of last season. He's come back this year. There's not, when you think about the top 10 right wings in the world, there's not many franchise players out there for that position, is there?
No, because we got the best one. That's also kind of the problem with it. Like, how are you going to replace a guy who is arguably I mean, he's the best right winger in the world right now. I'm used to, in my head, Messi's still a right winger, so I was about to say hold on, but no, but he's in America pretty much playing at centre forward now as well, so I'm not even counting it anymore. But yeah, he's out right winger. He's also the best in the world, so that is also kind of the issue you have, that whoever you bring in is going to be better unless Chiesa starts putting up crazy numbers in this year and next year. Because I think from the names that we've called, that we've all named, I do think Chiesa does have the highest potential, and he could really be an excellent right winger. But yeah, there's also just quite there aren't many options that are around, and it's more also, again, basing it on potential rather than basing it on what they've already fully accomplished throughout their careers as a footballer.
Yeah,
I'd say.
But probably the most, shall we say, the most successful right winger is after Salah. People will say Saka, but he's not really achieved anything yet. He's probably your two Bayerns, which is Gnabry and Sane. If you think about what they've won, what they've accomplished, and stuff like that. Now they've not won the Champions League or anything like that, but I can't think of anyone else.
But Saka's not realistic at the end of the day, I would say. That's more from the options that are there. Like, I don't see Arsenal letting their gem walk or go either. I think they would make it a battle until his contract's finished as well.
Yeah. And Anish, I think we're forgetting Salah's numbers at right wing are not normal, and they're not normal. They're definitely not normal. I think one of the things we probably need to see this year, Race, is someone to start, and I think Salah's actually helping this with his more assisting play, is we need someone in our front five to start to take on more of a burden, don't we? We need someone to start scoring a few more goals. And to me, it looks like Nunez bagged another one away for Uruguay. The guy is just absolute chaos, isn't he?
Yeah. We call it he just comes on in games and just, has the ability to just kind of wreak havoc and just be a game changer, and it's helped with, obviously, our revamped midfield this year is getting more goals from other parts of the field, not just from Salah or, whoever's been playing striker or Diaz on the left side. It's a whole team effort, by having those options. Now Salah's got not just a striker to play it into, maybe he's got a trailing, Szoboszlai who can banging in a goal, or someone else, or it's definitely been a change this season, and it's been a good, a refreshing to see Salah just impacted the game and not just scoring goals. And I think that's what makes him so lethal. Is we still know he can put a ball in the top corner and he can still score whenever he wants to, but he's just assisting more, and maybe recognizing that Nunez, just getting him more involved will just make our team better. Because then once you got Nunez firing and Salah firing, which Salah always is, then you just make your team more lethal. And so, yeah, I think if we just look at our next winger and what that'll be, I think you definitely want that creative output. And again, the Salah scoring numbers just aren't matched by anyone in the world on the wing. Our goal scoring really from both sides of the wing in Klopp's era has just been unmatched in the world. So it's we'll see what kind of targets. Again, like I said, I want to keep Salah here for as long as possible, but it's definitely have to maybe look at some targets.
Ugly cry at him to not go, wouldn't you? Just like, come on, Salah, stay. Whatever we can do. Play in the new Champions League format. That would be my big pitch, William, which is, Salah, you've never played in the new Champions League format. You want to play in that. Do that for 1 year, then go to Saudi Arabia and get your massive payday and be the king of the Middle East. But Nunez, goal and assist. He did get a knock for Brazil, but once again, he's gone on international duty. He's caused absolute chaos. He's caused absolute mayhem. It's exactly what we love seeing him do as Liverpool fans. Once again, great assist with his head, great goal with his head. It's about to click for me with Nunez. What do you think, William? I think he's about to catch fire.
I think slowly he's already doing it. I mean, if you look overall at the amount of minutes he's playing and then the amount of goals, and I want to say assists, but I don't think his assist number has been very high. But just in general, his goal contributions per overall minutes, I don't have the exact number, but I remember looking at it, it was somewhere in the 70s or the 80s or something like that, even with this international game now being played. And I think that's what he's slowly showing now, is that he can also at least contribute a goal a game. And he's slowly just showing that that's going to be his level. And I think he'll maintain that. And just the more time he gets to play with the rest of the team, the more time he gets, the more playing time he has playing as a 9 and having those wingers creating those chances for him. Obviously, the midfield now as well, creating those chances for him. I think it's just the beginning as well of Nunez mania, as I will call it.
Now, I don't think Nunez will actually play against Everton, race, because I think Klopp showed at the last international break he played mainly Europeans and kept most of the big travelling South Americans on the bench. And I think we saw with McAllister, who did start, who played at crazy altitude, he just wasn't at the races from it. I think there was some level of recovery, and unsurprisingly, 12:30. So with that logic, it's probably going to be majorly our Europeans that are starting. People like Gravenberch, who didn't go on international duty, maybe Harvey Elliott. I don't know if Endo was in Asia playing or if he was playing this side of things. So probably won't see Nunez in the derby, which is a real shame, because it'd be an absolute cracking play for the derby, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you think about just the type of game we're playing, a derby game. It's going to be high intensity already. And I think, maybe you worry a little about Nunez just kind of keeping a cool head, and, you hope they can do that. But I think he's shown this season that he's really matured just in his play. And I think that's helped him just kind of overall develop as a player. So that's really not much of a concern for me. But you talk about a game that's going to require just absolute, just intense and like you said, Nunez is causing chaos. And I think this would be the game for him. And unfortunately, it just looks like it's not going to be he's not going to take part just because of us getting shafted once again on these early kickoffs. And, I will say, at least, with this early kickoff that we have, it's a derby game. So in terms of kind of getting up for the game, that's kind of already there. We're going to be ready just with the emotions of it all and being at home. And so I think that'll help and aid this early kickoff that we had. Of course, we don't like having it again, and we'll have it again next week after the next international break. But yeah, it's I think the report said Nunez won't start. I don't know if he's completely ruled out, so I think he can still maybe feature a little bit. It was just a little cramp, I think. So I think obviously they're going to be cautious with it and learning from that last international break. McAllister just putting him out there, I think was just a mistake by Klopp, and so I think they'll err on the side of caution, and you can afford to because our reserves here, it's Jota, I'm sure he'll get the start there. It's a quality, some we don't mind seeing here. And then, you got Salah, of course, and then, Luis Diaz possibly on the left side. So, you're more comfortable in playing your quote unquote backups there. And then you maybe, if the game allows it for you bring on Nunez and, he's just as dangerous coming off the bench too. You bring on his fresh legs. And of course we saw against Newcastle, he just made an instant impact in winning us that game. So hopefully we'll already be up, 4-0 at halftime. So we don't have to worry about Nunez coming on and scoring some goals, but I know it won't happen, but just bring him on, just get some legs in. Because then, like you said, this run of games we've got some favorable matchups, and this could really be the time where Nunez just starts to kick on and get those goals flowing. Because we've seen, every attacking player has it. You just get on a run of form and you just start banging goals in, and it can start from the international break and having a big result for yourself and your country as well. It was a big result for Uruguay. I think that was their first win over Brazil since like 2002 or something like that. I could be mistaken, but it was a big result for them. So he's just already coming in on a high, and hopefully this little knock that he has is nothing to worry about. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what he can do for us in this next run of games.
Now I'm going to have a bit of a rant about this 12:30 because it really annoys me, because everyone's like, well, it's only a couple of hours. It's only a couple of hours. You normally play at 3:00, but I think the fact that we played 14 and the next is 6. What people don't tend to realize is at sort of elite sport level, you train for the times you're normally going to be playing, and that's normally 3:00 and later. So 3:00 or 8:00. And your meals, your training, your sleep patterns, your rotation, everything works around that. So when you've got players coming in from all over the globe with body clocks that are completely disjointed, and we probably have one of the biggest traveling squads due to the massive South American contingent that we've got. You've got one of the biggest traveling squads. Expecting people to just get acclimatized back into sync, back into rotation, and then pulling forward everything really has quite a big impact on people's ability to perform. And whilst people can say it's fair for everybody, it's not fair for everyone if one club constantly has that disadvantage put onto them. It's not fair if one club has people travelling further distances. Now, that is their choice to sign people from further distances, but everything should be evened out in the wash, as you say. There's something going on to the tune where Liverpool have been the fairest team in the Premier League for the last 4 years. Howard Webb comes in and we've got 4 red cards in the first 8 games and 1 absolute abhorrent shout and 3 early kickoffs, when the data proves that early kickoffs are not good for the Liverpool squad due to our South American thing. There's something unbalanced in this, and there's some sort of inequity. And I think the fact that we've pushed back, they're pushing back, the fact that we've said stuff, they're doing stuff. And I think a lot of people will say it's Liverpool claiming to be victims, but when you actually look at what's happening, there is a real inequality in the treatment of this club in comparison to others. And that's what annoys me with this. So that's my little rant about 12:30 kickoffs, because I hate them, because it ruins your entire weekend if we lose as well. That's the other thing. Really bugs my entire weekend if we don't do well, because it's a little bit earlier, but I can drink at 3:00. 12:30 is a bit early. William, what about for you? Is this annoying you as much as it's annoying me, or am I just
no, it's super infuriating. But what I don't get with it as well is it only encourages our fans who already think there is an agenda against us to think even more that there is an agenda against us. I don't think there is one, or I am hoping to think that there isn't one, but I can't help every time one of these things happens. I can't help but think, oh well, there's obviously they're doing their best again to go against us. I mean, it's even with the just looking at it again, if you like, I was talking with one of my best mates about this, and he's a Man United fan, and even he's saying like it's getting ridiculous now. Like even he can't believe literally all the little points that are going against us, to the point where he's even saying like it's almost as if there's an agenda. Now the reason he also says it is because he's obviously also aware about the referees flying out to the UAE and doing that, and obviously for him being a United fan, that's also in his interest to keep an eye on that. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it does count for every club in the league. Like it annoys us the most because we're directly competing with City, but I don't think Brentford would be happy either with referees going to Abu Dhabi in the meantime. So that's also just the issue with it, and then you look at the fact that Kovacic didn't get sent off twice against Arsenal when that was a blatant red card, both tackles. Like, if Curtis Jones was a red card, which in my opinion should be, but this is the rule now apparently that we got to follow, then Kovacic should have been sent off both times. You just can't help but think all these things there, going like, there's obviously a little bit of support to one certain side, and their biggest competitor is the one getting shafted every time. And yeah, I'm not happy with it either. But at this point, I'm just screw it. We'll just go again, and we'll just prove again that we can do it anyway.
Yeah, the Kovacic one was if Jota's are 2 yellows, even though an independent panel found that the second Jota yellow, not even the first one, which everyone knew wasn't a yellow, an independent panel found the second one wasn't even a yellow. Curtis Jones hit the ball, and then the ball got kicked under, and he went over, and yes, he caught the player. There's no getting away from it. Kovacic just slid in, heel studs up straight into someone's ankle twice. And did he even get a yellow card for him? He got a yellow card for the first one.
He got a yellow card for the first one, and then VAR reviewed it, and then they decided not to give the straight red for it. That's even how ridiculous it is as well. And the 2 twats from VAR from our game are back on as well. Sorry, that's it. I'm going to leave it now. That's it.
So, on more positive news, Liverpool supposedly sent scouts to go watch Inacio and Pedro Neto as their 2 players that we are keeping a very close eye on. I don't know why we would send them to the Portuguese game race when Pedro Neto is like in the Premier League. We could have really saved some travel fare there. But obviously, 2 really good Portuguese players. We've got Jota in the squad already, so it's good Portuguese contingent there. It might be nice to have some more Europeans and going for Hincape, who's Ecuadorian, and just more travel. Where are you with Neto? Do you think he'd be a good signing for us? Do you think he would be a Salah replacement or a Salah backup? Because I'm not necessarily sure he's a starter for us at this moment in time. I think he's doing well this year, but I'm not sure he's at that level yet.
Well, I think it ties in kind of what I said about Sane and of the fact of, this being more of a younger player, only 23 years old, and another Premier League player. And I think, again, you're never going to replace, the production that Salah had. You can only attempt to recreate, some of that, or it being for multiple players or whatever. But, it's going to be impossible to replace that kind of production. So, you have to certainly look at the potential of players and what you want. And I just think if you look to replace Salah, you want to bring in a player that, ideally is going to, be a featured player. And I think, hit the ground running and have that Premier League experience, because we don't want, we really don't want to mess around with this and kind of have a player that might take some time to adjust. I don't think, even though that's not the worst thing in the world, but you look at Neto, I think he's more of a natural fit, as a right winger, left-footed. I think just fits in a little more. I've always said that, we've got Neto, but also, look at Diaby from Aston Villa, I think would be another possible target. I think you keep an eye on him, and if he's having a good season, you maybe poach him away from Villa, if they ask a big fee or whatever. But, if we sell Salah, we're going to have a bunch of money to spend. So maybe that won't be much of an issue, but you never know with our owners. But anyway, it's Neto is definitely a player to keep an eye on. Again, I think they're just kind of getting scouts out to see him in different environments and whatnot. Of course, you have him in the Premier League, and looking at Wolves, they're not obviously not the most attack minded team, and they're not. I don't think they've been scoring a lot of goals or whatever. So he's kind of the featured player. Just seeing he has a goal and 5 assists this year, so having that creative output. Again with Salah being a little more creative this season, maybe just kind of changing how we're playing. So you like to see that from a player that could possibly be a replacement for Salah. So, I think, look, we're going to talk about a bunch of, targets from now on to the end of the season, as long as Salah's future's up in the air. So I think looking within the league, in the Premier League, that's certainly a viable option. I would think, again, just kind of one to monitor, monitoring FC. That's what we're always doing. So we're always monitoring players and whatnot. So, but really are, in terms of, just a list of possible targets that we're keeping an eye out for.
I'm completely ignoring you. No, right, okay, right. Bakayoko. There we go. Eredivisie, right winger, young, 20 years old, Belgian, 6 caps, 1 goal, 52 appearances for Eindhoven, 8 goals, 11 assists. What do you think, William? Already knows Gakpo because they must have played together.
I mean, I've seen quite a bit of Bakayoko because I've got Dutch in my family, so and who watch PSV quite vividly as well. So I sometimes join along to watch with them, or at least get the information from them. And honestly, if it were to come down between Bakayoko and Neto, I would actually go for Neto purely from what I've seen from him. There's a lot of potential there, but he's a player who's still, he's like very raw still. Like his end product is still quite a bit iffy, both on the goals and the assist side. Now, of course, with his age, that could definitely come to improve as well. But I think as a target for us, if this is a target as well to replace Salah, I would definitely be taking Neto over Bakayoko, but Bakayoko could be a lot better than Neto. But it just depends on how he develops. That it's kind of a little bit more due to the Premier League experience and us needing an imminent replacement and not just banking on the potential and hoping that it works. I would say Neto would be a better fit instead of Bakayoko.
Now, then we've got obviously the Musiala links, and we talked about those on a stream earlier in the week. That's obviously potential. Now, to finish off, I'm going to paint you both a picture about what I think may happen, and go with me. I think there's a good chance we'll sign another attacking midfielder. It may be Sane because he can play left and right, but I actually think what Klopp may do is Luis Diaz on the left, Gakpo as a false 9 with Szoboszlai switching positions to attack and shoot from deep. And I think Darwin Nunez might play on the right side of the attack as a striker. If you look at where he got both his goals against Newcastle, he was attacking from the right channel, shooting across the goalkeeper with power and pace. And tactically on the ball, with the touchline to his right, he's better on the ball. He's better at running. It's a strange suggestion. I completely get that, but don't think of him as a right winger. Think of him as a right forward. And I actually think that might be what we do, because I've noticed a few times that they've had Nunez running Salah's channels later in a game when Nunez is fresh to sort of use his pace and power. It's a crazy suggestion, but it lets Szoboszlai and Gakpo switch position. It lets Gakpo come deep, gives room for Nunez to run in behind. It gives room for Diaz. Am I crazy, Race?
It's not a terrible option, I don't think. I would again, I just think back to last season where Nunez operated more on a wing, and now you bring up the 2 goals he had against Newcastle, and I definitely see it as a possibility. I think we have to consider kind of all the options that we have, and again, we've gotten an incredible scoring output from Salah over the last so many years, and can you really rely upon that again, or do you have to kind of change the way you do things and kind of have to adapt a little bit? Because again, getting that output from that position is just, I think, unrealistic to expect again. So I don't think it's a bad suggestion at all.
And we've got William. I'll come to you. Obviously, we've got Harvey Elliott. He can play on the right wing. Played there for Blackburn. Played very well there for Blackburn, and I think he would be more a creator than he would a goal scorer. But I think that's absolutely fine if you've got Darwin, Nunez, and Luis Diaz. Can we just play 2 attackers and 3 attacking midfielders? And again, if we had, let's say, a Musiala, a Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch all interlinking and switching positions with 2 strikers in front of them, yes, I think that probably could work. If you take Salah out, William,
yeah,
you haven't signed anyone. You got to make a formation work. Who are you playing with?
That comes in kind of perfectly with what I wanted to say for something that Klopp might do for this game on Saturday. But then one thing that would be different. So I think there's a possibility that I'll get to it first. So basically I would play Szoboszlai on the right wing. I would play Nunez down the middle, Diaz down the left. Midfield of is everyone fit or do we have to also
everyone's fit apart from Salah.
Apart from Salah, everyone's fit. Well, then I would take right now with everyone we have, I would definitely put Alexis McAllister as a right centre mid, Jones as a left centre mid, and Endo as a DM for a midfield, or Thiago. But the problem is, I barely even remember we have Thiago now with how often he's injured and how much he's around. But I actually think for the derby, due to the Nunez news, that we might see Szoboszlai on the right wing and Mo down the middle and Jota down the left for this weekend. So that's kind of what I wanted to say with the link for this weekend with what I could see happen due to Nunez not being 100% fit. If Nunez is good enough to play 30 minutes, it'll definitely put him on the bench. But if not, I think we could see Szoboszlai right wing already this weekend. But then without Salah, that would be my formation as well.
Jones is suspended. Yeah, he was saying if everyone was fit, but I think, Gravenberch is definitely going to start for me against Everton because he's not gone away. He didn't go away. Jota will definitely start. So I think you put in the bones. It's more the big travels, I think, thing. I think DM may be an issue for us. Big shock because I'm not sure McAllister will be there, and I'm not sure if Endo's had a massive travel to Japan or not. Depends when he played and when he's back. I don't know if Majestic is back, and I don't know if Thiago is back because they were both meant to be back after this break, weren't they? I think both, but we will see. But yeah, there's even regardless, there's a lot. I mean, you could play Trent right wing. I'm not that I'm saying you should, but you could in theory. Because you can play Gomez right back. Gareth Southgate likes to play him right central midfielder in the Szoboszlai type position. Again, don't think we should be doing that. But there is many options. Thiago will be back in time for our first game next February.
We'll probably have gotten Andre to replace him by then.
I tell you what, I can't wait till he gets his first red card in the Liverpool shirt. Probably take one game. People, I've been watching a bit of Andre mainly because obviously it's been really heavily linked and really a lot of good sources have connected us to him. And I think it's safe to say every single other team that is not Liverpool is going to hate this player. He is relentlessly annoying.
Perfect.
In the best way possible. A bit like Diego Costa when he was at Chelsea. Everyone hated him. Or Luis Suarez when he was for us and everyone hated him. Apart from us who loved him. So I think it's definitely going to be an option. Now, I'm going to finish with race and one question. Is it possible to put Virgil van Dijk as a DM while everyone's gone? He's got a penalty.
Yeah. No, I don't know. He's keep him in the back line. Keep him as our number 4 in that spot. He's been didn't have a great year last year, but I know our defense is kind of sorted, but just to see him back there, and just as our captain, of course, just been a rock for us forever.
I think there's more chance of seeing Trent playing there than there is to see Virgil van Dijk playing there.
Agreed.
Of the options, I think they're more likely to go, well, we'll just play Trent as a deep line quarterback. Then they would put Verge there and play Gomez to come in and sort of help him defensively. But this has been LFC Transfer Room. If you are new here, please like and subscribe to the channel. We are so close to the road to 10K, so every subscription gets us closer to the magical 10K quiz, where we are going to really we've got some cracking games planned for that 10K quiz. So if you are new here, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much to Race and William for joining me, and thank you for all of you for your comments. I've tried to ignore Jamie and Paul Lindo as much as possible, and we will catch you on the next one. Take care.